We live?
Let's see. I think so. Yep.
Yep. All right. Welcome back to Bitcoin.com's Token Narratives. I'm Graham Stone, joined by news and research gigabrain David Sensel. How are you doing today, David?
Pretty good. Enjoying this little dip. Dips are for buying, so happy about it. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. So I just discovered that this actually works out perfectly. So I am IQ 70, firmly in the dunce category of the curve, and you 132 as expected. So we got gigabrain.
Wait. No way. No, I think it's supposed to be reversed though. That means that I'm actually the idiot. That's not good.
Well,
Uh,
the important thing is that we're both not in the mid curve. So
that
yeah,
is true.
we're getting the. I mean, yeah, it's a circle actually. Genius, retard, basically same thing.
There must be multiple versions because the version I checked put me at like 76, which I was very happy about.
Oh,
And
okay. Well, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I was actually
so
hoping to be a bit lower, but
yeah,
I
me
think
too.
this is
Because
right. It's
all
pretty
the
accurate.
smartest people, all the smartest people I know on crypto Twitter, they were like 60 and below. So I'm truly a mouth breather over here, dude.
All right. So Bitcoin uh, tepidly broke an all-time high, uh, very briefly breaching 124K before immediately dropping back below 120K. Currently, we're at 118 and a bit. So I don't know. I feel like what's your gut check on this, David? It feels a bit like a bearish all-time high here.
Yeah,
Bitcoin
I don't know.
Bitcoin dominance dropping off below 60 for the first time since the start of the year.
I don't
Got the
know.
ETH BTC ratio back up,
I
retracing all
I
of
don't
its
think.
losses for the year. Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
You
I
don't
don't
think
think
what?
that that Bitcoin going down here or Bitcoin dominance going down is bearish for the market. It's probably not even bearish for Bitcoin, to be honest. It just means that there's some rotations going on, and so some of that liquidity that would be or has in the past been going into Bitcoin is now flowing into other areas. And we'll get into where it's flowing, but that would be my read on it. And this is both on the crypto native side and the traditional finance equity side, and that's how I see it. Also, Bitcoin going down, it seems like a the classic thing we've seen in the past couple of weeks. It's a knee jerk reaction to um, what's it called, economic data or macro related stuff coming out. And usually, what's happened for the past whatever 6 months is knee jerk reaction, and then it quickly goes back up, and that's how I read it. How about you?
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to be buying the dip here, or are you already fully allocated? Did you take some off the table at the top there?
Well, for Bitcoin, no, I haven't touched
No.
anything for Bitcoin or any of the like the majors that I'm holding. I haven't really touched anything. Um, However, yeah. This kind of ties to a question I wanted to ask you last week, and I just forgot to. Did you did you buy any pump? Because we were talking about it like a month ago, I think, about how
I did. I did
when is it a
not.
good time
Yeah,
to buy?
I was looking at it. What's going on with Pump? I haven't looked at it for a week
Well,
or so.
remember the last thing I remember you saying, I think at the end of one of our episodes, is that
Yeah,
you
look
weren't
for a
going to try to
bottom.
like catch the falling knife. You were going to try to look for when it formed a bottom and was kind of
Yeah.
basing
Oh,
it
it does
to
seem
move
to have
up.
done that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did buy. I
Oh,
bought
nice.
I bought not when I should have, but I bought some, and it's since it's dipped down again, I'll probably
Right.
buy a little more.
Might be a time to get a little pump.
I really do think though there's too much money involved. There's too many like
Yeah.
big holders and whatnot that this. I will be very surprised if this doesn't have an engineered run at the very least. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, I mean, you posted something earlier in the week about Link. So on the narrative that tokens that generate revenue are the anointed ones, and Link apparently generates some revenue, but upon looking into it, it's actually just peanuts, the revenue that Link generates.
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
basically the story?
I think it seems like I think Chainlink is trying to jump on this bandwagon, the revenue narrative bandwagon, and so they've announced, was it 2 days ago maybe or yesterday, that they're gonna start buying back Link. I guess they're gonna use revenue to support Link, and some of the accounts that I followed kind of did the equivalent of roll their eyes about this because the revenue is piddly. I think it's like
Yeah.
150 million or something like that. I mean, just like chump change for this kind of thing. Um, Nevertheless, Link pumped on this. Those Link Marines are they're uh, they're desperate for some news to pump on, right? And so it pumped on it. Has it retraced already though? I wonder the pump, the premature pump. Let me take a look. Yeah, no. I mean, it's retraced a little bit, but not much. So yeah, it's yeah,
All
Link's
right.
getting some
Well,
love.
let's talk about ETH for a few minutes here. So it's Ethereum's time to shine. Something happened with SBET, 400 million dollar deal. We got the biggest ETF day, inflow day ever for Ethereum, over like what was it, 725 million in one day.
Yeah, 729.
Yeah,
Or
okay.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
um yeah, everyone on crypto Twitter is excited about ETH again. What are your thoughts, David?
Well, so first of all, I think we should address the elephant in the room, which is uh, you're probably a butthurt coper over ETH still.
Oh yeah, so exactly. So any type of narrative where I can yeah, come up with a way to bash ETH, like I'll jump all over that.
Just from the kind of
So
deadpan way you were talking about the news. You're like, so SBET, yeah, and
something
biggest
about
inflows
a
ever.
something about like a three-quarters of a billion dollars. I don't know.
That's pretty funny.
um
Um,
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, okay, yeah. So I mean, obviously, uh, ETH is the hot stuff right now. It's been this way for weeks, but I think this past week was kind of the. I'm not going to say it's peak yet because it's. I don't. I think it could go. I think it could get way um, more euphoric, but it's starting to really kind of wind up, right? Like it was all over my timeline. Um, how ETH is doing well. Lots of ETH bullish ETH news. You rattled off some like stories with actual uh, what's it called, price appreciation support behind it.
Yeah.
And then something new for me, at least, I think every single
Uh-oh.
single one had like a decent part of the podcast was devoted to how ETH is back and how this is ETH season and how far ETH is going to go.
Yeah.
That to me was like, whoa! All these everybody's on the ETH is back bandwagon.
Yeah. And you've got Tom Lee, the CEO of what is it? S Miner? What's it called?
Yeah, what is that thing? Sharp links.
Is it
Oh,
Sharp
the other
Link?
one.
No.
Okay, yeah. No. Yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah.
what you're
So
talking about.
he's out sailoring Michael Saylor these days with his bullish ETH predictions. What did he say? 10K. Was it a 50K? 50K ETH is his prediction. The
Well, there
infinite
was
bid. And here we have
yeah.
Tom Lee. I don't know. Are these both pictures of him? Not sure what's going on
uh,
there.
I think they are. I think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, then so okay, you have his outlandish price predictions, but I put a story in the doc from Standard Chartered, supposedly a legitimate analytical, it probably has like good analytics supposedly, but the headline is they see that this that ETH could surge to $25,000 uh, on the back of stablecoin growth. So I mean, the funny thing is, dude, we talked about this so many times in the where are we in the cycle segment, which we haven't done in a
Yeah.
while. But one of the things to look out for when you start entering kind of mid to late cycle road signs is kind of dramatic price retargeting, right? So 10K ETH used to be the narrative, or that used to be
Yeah.
the aspirational number. ETH
Yeah.
is going to 10K this cycle. So here you have a Standard Chartered, uh, I guess, with a straight face saying ETH could surge to $25,000 per token because of stablecoins.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's like
I
it's
don't.
like the post you brought up last week with the chart outlining the price predictions for major assets and how, like, from by institutions making price predictions for these assets, and their price predictions basically align with whatever the asset is currently doing. So if the asset is currently like in the dumps, their price predictions are like it's going to be in the dumps. uh when the asset starts to pump, they're like, oh, it's we're predicting a huge run from here. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. Not very very useful. But again, I think it's useful. It's useful in like a meta sense because it gives you an idea of I'm not going to say where the herd is because I don't think it's quite that. It's kind of like maybe the leading edge of the herd. Uh,
Okay, well,
so it's
anyway, I
pretty funny.
mean, look, what, you want to say something? Because I
Go ahead.
go into
No,
my anti ETH rant here,
do it. Do it. Do
some.
it.
So I've highlighted a story which fits my narrative that ETH as the stable coin, the ETH is the stable coin chain narrative may have taken a hit. All right, so this is the rise of the Corpo chain narrative. So Corpo chain meaning a corporate chain. Now we had a few of these. The latest one, well, there's two actually, two new entrants. The latest big one is Circle's Arc chain, which was basically just announced, and then there's another one that's kind of leaked from Stripe called Tempo chain. So these are new chains. Okay, let me tell you quickly about Circle's Arc. Right, so um, it's an L1. It's not an Ethereum L2. It's a high throughput L1 sub-second finality. Like, it seems like the tech is good. USDC is going to be used as gas. It is EVM compatible. It's supposed to have some kind of built-in stablecoin FX engine. And interestingly, perhaps, it does seem to have this opt-in privacy for selective confidentiality. So basically, it seems like you can make your transactions private, like you can conceal the amount that you're sending and who it's to, but auditors and regulators will have a backdoor view key for compliance. So yeah, kind of private, I guess. And just going to have a few other things like programmable compliance through AML checks or transfer limits, things like that. So that's their chain. And yeah, so I jump onto this as a the ETH. The ETH is the stablecoin chain narrative killer, right? So if Circle, one of the biggest issuers of stablecoin, is launching their own chain that's not on Ethereum, then doesn't that like fly in the face of that whole narrative? And then, I mean, it's the ETH community reaction to this announcement, I think, would support that. If you look at Circle's post about where they announced this, it's just full of ETH heads in the replies saying like, yeah, just build it on ETH. We don't need another L1. And then things like, why this feels like a waste of time and money. No one wants a centralized L1. So there you go, David. ETH as the stablecoin chain narrative dead.
That's funny.
Dust it off.
I mean,
All right, we'll go. What do you got?
Well, I think I honestly don't think that this chain will be very. I think it'll just be another alt L1 that kind of doesn't really do anything very much. I mean, why use it? Because Circle has this stuff, and I don't know. It just feels like a big nothing to me. And I would guess that this chain doesn't really add anything, and people don't really use it. Maybe a very small group of institutions use it, but I just imagine this will be just like another L1 that we don't remember, like Harmony, or there's just so many of these L1s that kind of just fade. Blast wasn't that one, and maybe even Barachain. I don't know. So and it's like it's not even like Circle's really in a great position either. Like we've talked about this before. I think they're highly threatened because of the onslaught of stablecoins coming. So this doesn't seem to be anything to me. And that would be my prediction. Um, I do think that there is a chance that I mean, I do think that Ethereum has a lot of competition, but I don't think it's going to be from like these kind of alt L1s. That would be what I think about that.
Okay. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. So I was gonna say something bullish about Ethereum, but if we want to still talk about this, let's continue.
No, say something bullish about Ethereum.
You're gonna tear
like
this apart
pain.
because you're already predisposed. You're already predisposed to hate Ethereum because you don't have any bags like me.
Yeah.
Still have some bags. But I
All right.
thought something that was interesting. Did you see that sentiment thing I put in the doc under the Ethereum
Oh yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
I thought this was pretty interesting. We've sometimes talk about how often Bitcoin is being searched, right, on Google Trends, and if you look, at this thing of Bitcoin versus Ethereum searches, Bitcoin has been trending downward, obviously, and there's a lot of there could be a lot of reasons for this. Everybody knows Bitcoin. That's one. Number two, retail isn't buying Bitcoin. The people who are buying Bitcoin are institutions, right? That's the marginal buyer so far in this cycle, and so it would make sense that the number of people searching for Google would not be that high because they're just not buying, right? On the other
Yeah.
hand,
Well, go ahead. Yeah. I
no,
don't
go
think
ahead.
this chart says what you're saying it says though, because look, both Ethereum and Bitcoin interest has spiked in the last week.
No, but you didn't let me finish. I wasn't. So
All right.
Bitcoin is down from 2021, right? Like you look at 21 to now,
Oh, I see.
right?
Okay.
It's right.
Yeah.
It's severely down. Now Ethereum is about breaking even in terms of
It's almost at its
searches from
all-time high.
2021. Exactly. right? And so to me, this says that maybe this kind of narrative that this is Ethereum's time really does have some teeth, because we're now just getting to the point where retail, I think this really does kind of capture like stupid retail interest and assets. They're they're almost breaking even with the highs of 2021, right? That's a decent, interesting signal. Not just by itself, but I think that that has maybe something of interest there. What do you think?
Yeah.
Stupid?
No, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah, people are bullish Ethereum, but I don't know. It's like I just don't. Nothing's really changed with Ethereum. I've said this before. Value doesn't accrue to the token from usage of the network. If Ethereum is the stable coin chain, what's the theory is that people like corporations or entities are just going to stack a bunch of ETH for gas. I mean, using the chain is one thing, but the value of the token that like backs the chain, accruing value is a completely different thing, and they're barely connected because ETH doesn't capture that value. So
I
it's
mean,
just
yeah.
all
So that's
like it's a speculation. It's all speculation, and it's going to end in tears when people realize that the token doesn't accrue value from its
yeah. I
usage
mean,
of the network. Actually,
the that's kind of the, how do you say, that's the
is that the mid curve
modern.
take?
No. I would say that's the kind of the modern, not pessimistic, but maybe pragmatic view, um, and it totally fits in with this kind of revenue based narrative, right? Like
Yeah,
tokens need to have some um, clear path to value accrual,
yeah,
and so what you said supports that. Um, Now, the old debate is, of course, that there's some kind of moneyness or monetary premium to ETH.
yeah. Well, that's
Um,
the only thing that could
and
justify its valuation.
exactly. And I mean, I think, look, I actually agree with you. I'm just trying to not play devil's advocate, but at least be open minded on this, because I look at Bitcoin right now, and I think there are some like major, we've talked about this before, but there's some major potential problems with it. Um, the quantum computing problem, for one. Uh, the security budget is another big one. Ossifying too fast and all this kind of stuff. So I don't think Bitcoin has a guaranteed win whatsoever. And um, I do think that there is Ethereum really does benefit from this notion of decentralization. And I was on a Spaces last Friday uh, about decentralization, and I actually was a wet blanket. Everybody was like kind of singing "Kumbaya" and talking about how awesome decentralization is, and I was the one saying that nobody cares about decentralization, right? And these people are kind of delusional because they care so much. But I think decentralization is really, really important, and I think there is probably a high premium that you can put on it. um, Bitcoin is the most decentralized, uh, arguably, but Ethereum is, I think, pretty close behind it, and there is no third best, I think, in terms of decentralization. So
I think,
again,
yeah,
this
exactly. There is no so Ethereum's right back in that barbell, in the middle of that barbell, right? You got the best Bitcoin, and then there's no third. I get like what like it. So who after that? Does it really matter?
You'd have to say Solana. You'd have to say Solana, but that's kind of really far behind Ethereum, I would say. Um, and so some of the things we're going to talk about on the docket today, I think, will kind of support this notion. And this guy I follow, I always get his name wrong. Omar Malik, I think, is his name. But when big institutions and when they want to move money, big boy money, not piddly money, like us and even companies like Coinbase are pretty small, right? They want to move tens of billions of dollars. They want to do trillions of dollars of volume a day or a week, right? Like that happens
Hmm.
in traditional financial markets. Um, they don't really care. I mean, what they really care about is that the thing, the they care about the fundamentals, I think, of crypto, that it's decentralized, that it can't
Yeah.
be revoked, and I think Ethereum will probably slot in there for this kind of stuff. I think there's a potential there. Now, again, is it worth 400 billion today, which is more than most companies? I don't know, probably not. You know,
Yeah.
so
My strategy, I've just decided, is to wait until the next Ethereum crash and reevaluate. I'm not getting in on this train
what if,
because it's gonna
what
I'm gonna get burnt.
what I can't wait, dude. You know what would be awesome? And we're gonna have to get Daniel to do this. Is, let's say Ethereum shoots past 10K this cycle. You know,
Oh man, I'm gonna
I
be
want
so
Daniel to
butthurt.
I want Daniel to go back through token narratives and put together a cope clip from
Yeah.
from like a month ago, and then just chart the progress of you of you coping
If
with the
it's
price going
10,000,
up
well, it all depends on
to the
what the
moon.
price of Bitcoin is. Uh, if it's Ethereum's at 10,000 and Bitcoin's at 250,000, then I'm not going to be butthurt.
Yeah, but I
But
mean
if
that's
Bitcoin stays at 120 and Ethereum's at 10K, then yeah,
well,
it's
but
gonna
even
that's gonna
if
be painful.
even if Bitcoin hits 250, that's like what, less than a 2x from here. Ethereum off the lows, that's a 10x, isn't it?
Yeah, but from where Ethereum is now, it's only a 2x. A similar gain to if Bitcoin was at 250.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I got in. I didn't get in lower. That's the thing. I didn't buy Ethereum actually. But anyway, so it would be funny, regardless of the situation. Um, Speaking of decentralization, can we talk about this Monero stuff?
Yeah, let's talk about the Monero 51% attack. So let me see if I can
Oof,
outline the
brutal.
basic facts here. All right, so this is pretty interesting. So this blockchain project called Cubic, Qubic, it's led by kind of an OG in the space. I think this guy was behind NXT. Remember that token, David? Had something to do with IOTA as well,
Is
2017
that
or
NXT
earlier
was a
tokens.
Chinese coin?
I don't think so. His name. This
Okay.
guy's Sergey Ivancheglo. Sounds Russian or Eastern European at least.
Sounds
Anyway,
sounds non-scammy.
so they've got this chain Cubic, and it's it's kind of interesting. They have a consensus mechanism that they call useful proof of work, and basically it's kind of like a merge mining of Monero, but it allows people who do that to also earn like tokens on the Cubic chain, and then also
Yeah.
somehow that they're calling it AI integrated mining, and somehow like this process trains the AI Garth, which is their some kind of AI model. Like I'd like to know the etymology of that. Is it Garth from Wayne's World? Um, what are the other famous Garths out there? The world according to Garth. No, it's Garp. Anyway, so AI Garth. Anyway, so they over the last month or so, or maybe a bit, or actually several months, they have been increasing their share of Monero's hash rate. So it started at like 2% in May, moved up to 20-40% in July, and then eventually they got over that 50% threshold supposedly by early
Allegedly,
August.
they by their own
Allegedly.
marketing.
We can go get into that, yes. But analysts have seemingly confirmed that the attack appears successful, at least by some measures. So there's has been some level of chain reorg where they had the potential to censor transactions, mine their own blocks, double spend coins. Now, so it appears to be perhaps like somewhat successful 51% attack, and then basically once they had sort of proven that, I guess you can argue whether they actually did it, but then they came out and said, okay, we're done, we're not doing this anymore. And it was just we were just testing, this is basically a publicity stunt. And I think what my initial reaction here is that what's interesting about this is that it kind of shows that it kind of proves that one of the reasons, or one of the with 51% attacks, they don't make economic sense, right? It's because this organization Cubic, they had 51% of the share of the hash rate. If they do the attack, the price of Monero dumps, which is exactly what happened, and so that like that hurts them. So um, kind of bullish on the game theory of 51% attacks not actually playing out as some people might have predicted. What do you have? What do you have? Any thoughts on this, David?
Lot of thoughts, a lot of thoughts. Monero was my first true love of crypto. It wasn't Bitcoin. Bitcoin is how I got into crypto. But after like a week or 2 weeks of like really digging into it, um, I still remember the feeling of uh, of discovering that Bitcoin is completely and irreversibly in the open, and not private at all. And I was like, what the hell? This is insane. So I went looking and found Monero. And at the time, there were a couple privacy projects that were going around, and Monero was, it seemed like, and still is to this day, the premier privacy project. Um, so I love Monero, and I've used it quite a lot. Now, I've been following this person on X called Xenu. What's his actual handle? Do Xenu Monero. Um, and he's a really great follow. He's a kind of a Monero diehard evangelist. Um, he's had some disparaging things to say about other privacy projects, which I think is a little, especially now that Monero's been attacked and he's going to have to kind of eat shit. So maybe be a little more, I don't know, supportive of other privacy projects, my friend. But anyway, I like this guy a lot, and so it's pretty interesting to see, like, as you were saying, this attack started and people in the Monero community didn't really take it seriously. Even like at the beginning of this week, August like 10th, I was listening to his podcast called Anti Moon Boy Crypto on YouTube. And he was like, yeah, it's not very big deal. And to get over the current threshold that they're at would require 50% more hash rate than they already have. Right. So, I mean, it like progressively gets harder. And then, yeah, it's gotten pretty darn serious now, to the point where they've had a 6 block and a 7 block reorg. Um, and most likely they haven't achieved 51%. And the reason for that is the results that you see on chain have been just that, a 6 and 7 block reorg. Presumably, if they had an actual 51% of the hash rate, they would be able to do a lot more damage. And
Well, I
Cubic was
think that
saying
the
things like,
argument is that they purposely didn't damage it. They just wanted to prove that they could do it for publicity,
I
and it's
think
not in their
I
best
think
interest to actually really damage it,
yeah,
to
I mean
kill.
that's
It's not in their
one thing,
best
but
interest to kill
some
it.
of the metrics that they were using to justify their 51% were things like this. 40, so for example, they were saying this earlier this week, 44 of the past 100 blocks have been mined by them. That's just dumb.
That's not
Anyone who knows
51.
anything of no, no. I mean, no. As in, like, so they said earlier this week, like, we have 44% of the hash power. We have a 44% attack because we've mined 44 of the last 100 blocks, right? That's not how this works. I mean, like, right, mining, there's a element of randomness to who produces blocks, right?
Yeah,
So
well, if it's
you can
440 out of 1,000, it's the more blocks the bigger the denominator, the higher the chance that that is actually accurate.
exactly, but they weren't, as far as I know, they weren't doing that. It was like
Hmm.
out of 100. And anyway, it's likely, I think uh I would imagine it's likely that they didn't reach 51%. That'd just be my guess. um Now they can say we stopped short of 51%, or we got to 51% and then we did uh two block reorgs and then started printing empty blocks. This is what they achieved. But guess what, Graham? You can do what they did with as little as 33% of the block space, for proof of work, right? It's called selfish mining. This is kind of the attack that they achieved so far, selfish mining. um, and so, yeah, I mean, and then that's a serious thing. Like, so at least having 33%, probably in the 40s, is what I would guess, but at least like 33%, they could
Well,
start doing what they were doing.
does it really matter though, whether they reached 30 or 40 or 50?
Yes,
Like, isn't
because
oh
it gets
yeah.
it gets way harder. It gets way harder to, like, the move from 30 to 40 isn't a linear amount of hash power, apparently, right? Like, it
What?
requires,
Really?
apparently, yeah. I mean, so, like, if you have a smaller amount of hash power, like as you go up, it so, for example, if you have 1% of hash power and you want to get 2%, this is not, it's not a linear increase, it's a doubling, right? You need to have a lot more hash power, or you have one hash power. If let's say there's 100 hash power and you have one, and you move to two, right? That's it's not just, anyway, so it's not like, it's just not just a
Oh, it's
super.
because when you add hash power, you're working against yourself, actually, because the entire network's hash power increases, and so the
Yeah,
difficulty goes up. So does Monero have like a difficulty adjustment just like Bitcoin?
probably, I'm not exactly
It
sure. Anyway,
must.
I'm a little out of my depth on all the details. I'm going by what others were saying, that
Yeah.
it's not
So that's
specifically
my point.
linear.
The details I don't think really matter that much. The narrative here is the interesting thing. So like um
Yeah, I agree.
what what came out of this, it seems, is that you start like people in the Monero community are now like seriously looking at ways to mitigate this. So like if you look in the Monero research chats, like threads, like look, I didn't actually do this, the machine did it for me, but it told me that people are talking about like ways to work to mitigate this. External finality commitments, example, committing Monero block hashes to Bitcoin, Ethereum to make deep reorgs costlier. Something
Yeah,
about force inclusion, censorship resistant mechanisms, like those ideas being debated in the research chats. So I think what's interesting here is like this event is kind of forcing people in the POW, the proof of work community, to take this threat seriously and figure out ways to work around it,
yeah.
which is
And
important
I
for
mean,
Bitcoin, right?
yeah, it's important for Bitcoin.
And other, yeah.
I think it'd be much harder for Bitcoin, and we can go into the reasons why. But, like, so there's, even from the things that you're talking about, I think, from what I was listening to, from Zeno Monero, and so it's a couple podcasts he was on, which I think are well worth listening to. Excuse me. But there's a they pointed out a more fundamental problem, which is mining on Monero apparently right now is not profitable or not very profitable. And so you can mine Monero, and most people mine Monero for some kind of like altruistic reason to fight against the man and things like of that nature.
Interesting.
But it doesn't incentivize like a whole entire industry like you see with Bitcoin, right? Like just a
Yeah.
massive worldwide industry all around it, because mining Bitcoin is quite profitable. This doesn't exist for Monero, and so um, some of the more fundamental conversations I've heard is making making Monero mining just straight up more profitable. So then you have a lot more hash power behind this, and then this kind of attack would probably be asymmetrically more difficult. Um, if anything, currently, this kind of thing is really not achievable for definitely a project like this, but probably state actors. And number two, Bitcoin could have a problem, a major problem in the future when the safety budget becomes a concern, because then it'll be way less profitable, right? And it could be a lot easier to do a 51% attack if it had a more Monero like profitability scheme. So
Yeah. So what we're
that's
seeing here is perhaps a preview of what could happen to Bitcoin, and maybe it serves as a warning that to the Bitcoin community that you actually have to figure something out here. So in that
yeah,
respect, I see this as kind of like it's good. uh,
yeah, I agree. Also,
yeah.
I think the people in the Monero community also see it as a good thing. Maybe they're coping, right? Because their uh, their 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 beloved project is getting pwned. But I this is I heard a couple of good things to paraphrase, right? Like if we can't handle an attack from this quote unquote shitty project, then we aren't ready. Then we aren't ready to handle state actors. We're not ready to be a serious threat slash safe haven from the real dangers. And I think that's
Yeah.
true,
So
right?
it's a dose of reality. Time to step up your game.
Exactly. Yeah. Can I put on my conspiracy hat? I'm going to try to channel
Let's do it.
Corbin for a
Let's
second.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So so the ambient level of talk about privacy has ratcheted up, at least um, that I've detected in the past like year, right? More and more people are talking about privacy. You see it. I've seen it all over the timeline. At the same time, Monero and other privacy coins in the past like 18 months have been delisted from exchanges or um, made to have KYC AML off ramps specifically for privacy coins, right? Kind of
Yeah.
like trying to choke off um, access to it. And then last week, Nick Fuentes, he talked about Monero on his live stream. This is he talked about how awesome it is, right? How great it is, how it's like it's really important. Edward Snowden, I think a couple months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, he talked about it in a conference, specifically Monero, how important it is.
Yeah.
And here we have a freaking 51% attack right afterwards. I just feel like um, it's kind of not a coincidence. That would be my conspiracy thinking.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can buy into that. Like as we've discussed many times, the powers that be are not going to allow allow privacy tokens. They're not gonna endorse those. They're gonna fight them tooth and nail. They're gonna do everything they can to prevent the growth of privacy tokens
Do you
because
do
it
you think then
undermines their
there's no
power.
future? Do you think there's no future for privacy coins then?
No, there is a future.
Really? You
Yeah,
think you
I
think
mean,
privacy
you can.
coins can win against the powers that be? The
Yeah, I think they can.
that's very I don't know, idealistic. I feel like I think if the powers that be really want to quash this, then they will be successful. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but they're not that organized. Um, and the tech, if the tech is good enough, and the 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 people want it, like they see that the how dystopian the financial panopticon has become, then people will finally care about privacy. At least that's my
I
hope.
think though, I don't think that they need to defeat the tech. That's the point though, is that all they have to really do is choke off the on and off ramps enough for it to never be a a, a used thing.
Well,
And because most blockchains are transparent,
yeah,
it's very easy. Even if you do like atomic swaps, you can be like that USDC or that Bitcoin is flagged because it was swapped from this
yeah,
black box of privacy into USDC. Nope.
yeah. Well, if things get bad enough, then people will just have to do like peer to peer transactions of like fiat cash for like digital privacy tokens,
And I think
because
the
that's the
government would
one
be
way
okay with
that's
that level.
yeah. Well, yeah, if but that's the one way that they can't stop it, right? And so the theory is that that could actually, if things got bad enough, then people would that would happen at a large scale.
I don't think it would happen at a scale where you could have any kind of meaningful transaction volume, like billions of dollars of transaction volume. Like there's such this huge bottleneck to, like in a networked world. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
I do think maybe it could get to a point where it's too late for the governments of the world to react. Like they're too slow to react. Um, and we get things like Vitalik. What did he say this past week? He was on a podcast and he was talking about how they want to make Ethereum wallets private by default, uh, to the point where it's not a matter of like, oh, wallets are private by default. Simply saying you have a wallet means that it's private, and I think that's awesome. And if that can happen before, before it gets closed off, that would be amazing. Really, 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 really great.
yeah. So Vitalik might have an unfortunate accident,
Yeah, dude.
according to your
His
theory.
which I shouldn't make a joke about it, but yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be, man. That would be some dark, dark stuff. So hopefully that doesn't happen.
Should people hold some amount of stable coins as, sorry, of privacy coins? Should people hold some amount of privacy coins as a sort of insurance against government, like the possibility that the government was one day just going to like turn off all the public cryptos because they need to like bail themselves out?
Well, they're not going to turn off the public cryptos. They'll just control it all, right? Like that's the way it'll work, right? Like any transparent blockchain, they'll just they'll tap BlackRock
Okay, what?
or
Yeah, what?
whomever, right? Like
Turn off was the wrong word. What I meant was like take half of everyone's, a one-time
I
tax.
I think uh yeah, I mean like they have, right, governments have physical control over the people in their what's it called, in their realm, right? So um if they see it on a public blockchain, then they can say, yeah, we want some of it. I mean, that's why privacy is quite powerful, is because they could look at the chain and be like, oh, Graham Stone has $10 million. No, they can't do that with private coins, right? They don't know that you have that, right? But then if they can track it, whether it's in a bank account or uh, gold in a vault or somewhere, or a receipt that you bought gold, or a blockchain transaction, on a public blockchain, then they can tie it to you, and then they can one time tax you, because they have physical control of your body, basically, right? They can show up at your door and be like, hey, we know you have this, give it to us, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I don't think that they will, though. I don't think they need to, right? Like, why would they need to do a tax like that? I think that they can just, um, I think what we would be worried about is the panopticon, right? Where everything you do is just 100% tracked to just to the minutest detail, you know. That's a bit scary.
Yeah. Speaking of scary, let's talk for a minute about the Google proclamation that all software wallets must have licenses for, I don't know, every kind of money, what is it, money business, money transmitter licenses and blah blah blah. And then they sort of turned around and said, oh, actually we didn't mean self-custody wallets, we just mean
Yeah,
the centralized exchanges that take custody. So kind of a little everyone in the self custody space breathed a sigh of relief there, but it does raise some troubling issues where, like, oh, wait a minute, if Google can just like do that, then like how strong is this ecosystem? If
yeah.
Google, like, what
I
happens
mean,
if Google does do that? Like they chickened out or whatever, they like accidentally included it this time. They didn't mean to include it this time, but yeah, what happens when they do mean to include it and self custody wallets are just like banned from the app stores? What happens then?
yeah. I mean, it's crazy. This really, other than just the story itself, which is pretty wild, what it really does show is something that everyone has known forever and has always talked about, but it's just the insane stranglehold of the Apple Google duopoly over
Yeah,
the most important thing in everyone's life, their smartphone, right?
yeah,
Like, it's crazy to think about how much control and power they have, and this crypto kind of is the perfect kind of almost gut reaction example for most people, because most people are like, yeah, I don't care if Roblox is not available, or
yeah,
whatever the newest. When you're talking about money now, right?
yeah,
Lots of money and value, that being controlled by two companies, people are like, wait, hold on a second. This is no longer about like some dinky apps that are allowed on my phone or not, right? Like, what a crazy thing to think, though. Think about this, right? Like, Google and Apple can potentially control the money, the net worth you have on your access to on your smartphone. Good lord,
yeah.
crazy, man. It's
It's
crazy.
concerning.
Anyway, so right, the story is they banned all non-custodial crypto wallets, and apparently it was a mistake. And they
Yeah,
came out
I thought
and
this
said that.
I thought this was funny, their reaction. It reads like a Slack message. Thanks for flagging this. Like, I reply like that a lot in the work chats.
But to your point, Graham, what we were just talking about, privacy and decentralization, man, this would be a great vector for governments, right? Like, this would be the way for governments to kind of lock down crypto. Is the government comes over to Apple and Google and is like, hey, man, no non-custodial wallets, no longer allowed through your play stores, and they would have to comply with that, and then that would be it for like most humans, access to self custody. um so crazy stuff. I would say the other thing about this is, yeah, that's one aspect. The other aspect is, Graham, did you see the reaction of markets to this kind of snafu?
No.
So when this story broke, um, you would think crypto would take a hit, right? You'd see like the charts kind of like uh, gap down, right, because of this pretty kind of big move. Google, the stock, gapped down, and crypto was fine, right? Like that is, I think that's a pretty big moment. And I was on X, right?
Yeah, that is
This
really
guy named
interesting.
this guy on X, this, called the Giver, great follow as well.
Yeah.
Lazy Villager One, is it? He was like, he noted this as such, and I think it is kind of one of those overlooked moments where crypto is has made a huge impact, and it still needs to gain a lot of ground and stuff. But when Google is the one that takes a hit, not crypto, um, I think you kind of can say like, oh my God, we're important. We're here. Crypto is here, and now Google has to pay attention and kind of be respectful of this industry.
Hey, David, do you happen to know, like, there are alternative app stores out there. I can't remember the names of them, but especially for Android devices, I believe you can download apps and put them on your phone that aren't like not through Play. Right? Almost nobody uses these, but is there like does that actually work? Or like, what if Google does something like this? Can people just like use an alternative method? I mean, obviously you can use the APK, you can side load apps onto your phone, but like, is that a realistic alternative?
I mean, yes, for Android there are realistic alternatives, and I'd have to dig into. I used to know a couple of the stores. I've used a couple. They're clunky and not very
Yeah,
good, but it's probably like a YouTube Rumble situation. Is kind of the analogy in my head, which is Rumble had been around for a long time, and they're just kind of like chugging along. I had used it a while ago, and it was just kind of like not bad, but it was not nearly as good as YouTube. And then when YouTube started censoring the heck out of people, especially around COVID, you just saw Rumble take off, right?
yeah,
Because there really was no need for Rumble
yeah,
because YouTube was good enough until YouTube started censoring the hell out of people.
yeah.
And so, I mean, for these alternative app stores, it's probably the same thing. You see
So
things like
that's
this
that's
happen.
yeah, that's why I mean the price of Google went down. Maybe the market's like, okay, that that kind of situation could happen. Google competitors can they got a chance now.
Yeah. I last week I got my Solana Seeker phone, the new Solana mobile phone. Um, and one of the things that Anatoly and the other Solana mobile people had been talking about for quite a while, and there are clips all over crypto Twitter about this, but is offering a alternative to the Apple Google duopoly.
Yeah,
And that was the first thing I thought of when I saw this news this week,
yeah,
was like, holy shit, this is like really good timing
yeah.
for Solana mobile, right? Having um, a viable alternative with crypto apps obviously front and center. um,
Yeah.
and so it made me quite happy with my purchase because that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I guess if any of these alternative platforms become big enough, they also just like the Eye of Sauron turns on them, and you end up with the same problem. Like so,
Well,
the only solution maybe is that like people have I don't know, jailbroken devices somehow, and the apps are run like downloaded via torrents.
I mean, well, here's the thing. So yeah, I mean that that's that's an alternative for you and me and maybe crypto native people, but that kind of level of like APK side loading jailbreak stuff,
Yeah,
that's a non-starter for 99% of the population, and it shouldn't be, and it won't be. They'll so the a viable alternative has to be maybe not as easy and seamless and glitch free as Apple and Google Play Store, but it's got to be like within 5 to 10% UI UX of that. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Solana Mobile has, right? Like I've used it a little bit, and it's not nearly as good, but it's good enough. My mom could use it, for
Interesting.
example. And so this is what I had this talk with these decentralized people last week, which is this kind of failing to understand that it has to be acceptable for a mass audience, and if it's not, it just won't ever work, right? It's just people, plumbers and lawyers and stuff like that. Everyone has busy lives. They're not going to be like side loading stuff and I
Yeah.
don't know, setting
Yeah.
up their own node and building their own computers. I don't know.
All right. Well, it's good that those options are there for the people who really need it, I guess. But yeah, definitely concerning the amount of power that Google and Apple have over everyone's lives via these apps.
But I mean, the silver lining though is their stock took a bigger hit than crypto did. Um,
Yeah.
and I bet you money, dude, Apple was looking at this because I think the Apple ecosystem, not I think, the Apple ecosystem is way more locked down than Android, right?
Yeah.
Um, so if Apple started to do these kind of mistakes, probably not mistake, but if they try to do this, you could see like a mass exodus of some of the highest value Apple users out of that ecosystem, right? Because that would, I think that would be enough to push people out, right? If they start
Mhm.
messing with their money, with their value,
Yeah.
they would be like, yeah, I love Apple, but no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. So there are chinks in the armor. These massive companies, this duopoly does have to be careful. All right, David. I think that should cover it for today. Any last thoughts or comments before we wrap it up?
Um, well, I would just say that we're preparing for WebEx in about, what is it, like 10 days, something like that. Less less than two
Yeah,
weeks. So
it's gonna be good.
we're
We'll be
gonna.
live streaming for 2 days from Tokyo. We'll be doing a
That's right.
live token narratives, the weekly, interviewing some pretty interesting people. I'm excited to speak with Hasim.
Hasib, yeah, from
Hasib,
Dragonfly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
or
that's
hopefully
gonna
get a
be
chance to
awesome.
speak to him. Yeah, smart
Yeah.
dude.
So yeah, if you are going to WebEx, you'll be able to find us on the floor of the conference. Obviously, we're not going to be able to talk that much. We're going to be busy sitting in front of lights and talking to people. But yeah, looking forward to it.
All right. All right. Thanks as usual for your insights, David. Have a great weekend. Thanks everyone for listening. That's it
You
for
too.
us.